Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Cheeseboy628 here, today giving you a UU tier Pokemon Showdown battle. Now before I begin, I'd like to say that I am not a perfect player. I do make misplays and I don't always win. And I feel that I should definitely upload videos where I don't win, just so it's a little bit different and show where I can make misplays, where I can improve on that. Also, yesterday I played a tournament at midnight called the Midnight Fight, and I went all the way to the finals round and won that. So I may upload the final battle of that tournament tomorrow. Also, during that tournament I found some really cool people that decided to give me some great tips. So, using those great tips, I'll help improve this battle. Let's go to the preview. So all my team really is a bunch of pokes that have VSTs of 600 matched up with my favorite defensive core for UU with Gligar and Blastoise. Now, some people have commented on me using too many legendaries, and all I say to them is that if it's in UU, I might as well use it. They can use it just as well. As soon as it goes to OU, of course, I'm not able to use it anymore, but until then I'm going to use them. Now, I think what hinders these pokes is their typing, as they might get demolished in higher tiers. Nonetheless, for his team, the only thing that really messes with me is Zoroark. And of course, this guy has a Zoroark. So, spoiler alert, that Zoroark is really going to mess up my team. Now to the battle. So I start out with my Scarf Victini, and right away I can threaten that Nidoqueen out with a Zen Headbutt, which I do go for, instead of the V-Create since Blastoise can resist. And the Blastoise takes it very well, so it's a defensive one. I go out to Shaman in order to do a Seed Flare, but he double switches into Nidoqueen. And I do some nice damage on that as he goes for the Stealth Rock. Now I just go for the Seed Flare again in order to do some more damage, and I do hit the oncoming Snorlax, which does get the special defense drop. So I'm just going to go for the Seed Flare again in order to do some more damage, and he Whirlwinds me out. So it goes out to my Victini, which takes damage from Stealth Rock, which is key later, and I just go for the V-Create in order to do as much damage as possible. And to my demise, he is a resting Snorlax, which recovers all his HP, so that's not going too well for me. So knowing that I can't take it out too well, I switch Victini to Blastoise in order to Rapid Spin, so I can get those hazards out of here. But I do happen to go for the Toxic in order to harm that Blastoise a little bit, but I miss as he does hit his, so that's a little unfortunate, but it's alright. I just go for the Rapid Spin on this turn because I don't want to mess around anymore with these hazards. He does have Roserade out, which I wasn't fearing because I was expecting a Giga Drain, which I can take well since I max special defense. But he goes for the Leaf Storm, and it's a Life Orb, so that just wipes out my Blastoise. I go into Mew because I can threaten him out with the Psychic, and he makes a great play. What I thought was Mienshao is actually Zoroark. So I go for the Psychic thinking I can harm that Mienshao quite a bit, but instead he goes for the Dark Pulse and that threatens me out. And I go into Shaman now, thinking I can take a hit decently at the very least. And I just go for a Seed Flare so I can damage something. He goes into Snorlax, and that's just not helping my situation. I go into Mew because I think I might have a chance of taking the Snorlax out if I do set up enough. So, I do go for the Substitute here in order to try to set up on the Snorlax. But he Sleep Talks and does get the Body Slam, so I don't have a sub. Now I go for the Nasty Plot because I don't want to mess around. And he does go for the Whirlwind here though, so all my chances of setting up on that Snorlax are gone. Whirlwinds me out to Victini, and I go for U-turn just to get some damage as I switch into Gligar. He goes for the Body Slam, which does cripple my Gligar a bit, but that's not too big of a deal. I just go for my Stealth Rocks here in order to add some pressure. The Nidoqueen does threaten me out with the Ice Beam, so I switch out to Mew in order to try to threaten him out with my Psychic. So, thinking that he may switch, I'm going to go for the Substitute here, so I can try setting up. But he goes for the Earth Power, so I need to get some damage on something right now. But first I'm going to go for the Nasty Plot in order to double my special attack. and he brings in what I thought was Mienshao again, but not only is it a Zoroark, but I definitely have confirmed that it's a Scarfed Zoroark, as it's faster than my max speed Mew. He cleans me out with a Dark Pulse, and I go out to my Victini. I was predicting a switch, so I just go for U-turn and switch out to Meloetta. And Meloetta is usually an MVP for this team, and it's no different today, as my Meloetta right away just goes for the Relic Song in order to switch over and possibly put something to sleep, but to no avail. But now that I'm on my physical side, I definitely scare that Snorlax out, and I go for the CC. It does get a crit, which does make quite the bit of damage, but I just go for the Psychic here in order to finish it off, and I don't want to take too many special defense drops. So, my Meloetta here is sitting pretty nicely. I take that U-turn quite well, and all I'm doing here is I go for Last Resort, my final move, which works pretty well on this set. And Last Resort is stab, it does quite a bit of damage, and it works great. He goes for the Scald, and he doesn't get the burn, so that's nice, and I just finish off that Blastoise with the Last Resort. So Meloetta has taken out 2 pokes, which is just great, but I'm pretty sure its time here is gone, as Mienshao just finishes me off with an Aerial Ace. So, goodbye Meloetta, I go into Victini, and I don't want to mess around anymore. I have to go for the V-Create, and I do take out that Snorlax. The crit doesn't really matter, as I could have just taken it out on the next turn. And now he goes into his Mienshao. Or is it a Mienshao? It is a Mienshao, and it does go for the U-turn just to see if I may switch out, but I can't switch out as I just died from Stealth Rock switch in from next time. I got to Shaman, and this Roserade can somehow learn Flamethrower. Oh wait, it's Zoroark again, messing up my entire team. So, I have Gligar in now as he's locked into Flamethrower, and I just go for Toxic because I know that I can get the Zoroark with Toxic, or I can just get this Mienshao with Toxic. And I wall this Mienshao perfectly, as Gligar is able to wall Mienshao, Heracross, all those great fighting threats. And I'm just going to Roof Stall a bit, maybe damage it a little bit with U-turn every now and then. And eventually, after a little bit of stall, Gligar is able to take out the Mienshao after the Mienshao does miss the high jump kick, just speeding up the process. Now, he goes into his real Roserade, and thinking that I'm not going to survive this Leaf Storm, I'm just like, whatever. I'm just going to U-turn here, do some damage. But I do survive, and I guess if I roosted here, I may have had a chance of defeating that Roserade, and maybe eventually that Zoroark, but my only attacking move is U-turn, and although it's super effective on the Zoroark, I still think that Zoroark has enough special power in order to take out my Gligar eventually. Nonetheless, great game. So once again, a great battle. The battle was actually me facing one of my new subscribers, who's a really cool guy. And until next time, like always, you have any comments, questions, please comment on the video, PM me, anything. I'll be glad to answer. And until next time, peace.